Welcome to the Agency Accelerator podcast, your go-to resource for growing your agency in a profitable, sustainable, and enjoyable way. Now, does this sound familiar? A prospect reaches out to you and they ask you to write a proposal and they give you a really short deadline. So they seem like a good fit. So you drop everything, you work long hours into the night to get the proposal completed on time. You send it over and then they ghost you. Now, you reach out by email, you leave them voicemails, but they still don't get back to you. Well, if that sounds familiar, you're definitely not alone. This is a conversation I'm having a lot with my agency community. Indeed, this week we did some training in the self-running agency group around this very topic. So I thought I'd record a podcast on proposals and specifically how to ensure you're giving yourself the best chance to win the business. We're going to equip you with the strategies and tactics you need to tackle these challenges head on. Imagine being able to pinpoint your ideal prospects with precision, saving you time and resources while maximizing your chances of landing that high-value ideal client. Envision crafting proposals that not only grab attention, but also compel clients to take action, eliminating that frustration of being left in the dark after submission. By the end of this podcast, you'll have the tools and insights to turn these aspirations into reality. So grab a pen and paper or fire up your note-taking app because we're about to deep dive into the world of client acquisition. Whether you're a seasoned agency owner or you're just starting out, these strategies that we'll discuss today are applicable to businesses of all size. So get ready to transform your approach to client acquisition and propel your agency to new heights. So let's get going. I'm Rob DaCosta, and this is the Agency Accelerator podcast. As someone who has stood in your shoes, having started, grown and sold my own agency, I know just how it feels in the ups and downs of agency life. So this podcast aims to ease your journey just a little by sharing mine and my guests' experiences and advice as you navigate your way to growing a profitable, sustainable and enjoyable business. Let's kick this off by tackling one of the most crucial steps in client acquisition, that is identifying the ideal target prospect in the first place. This is where the foundation of your client relationships begin, so it's essential to get it right. Don't be in a rush to skip this step because it will set you up to fail if you do. And if you already think that you have it in place, then it's a good time to revisit it. Identifying ideal prospects starts with a really deep understanding of who your ideal target client is. This goes beyond just those typical demographics. It's about understanding their pain points, what keeps them awake at night, what their goals are and what their challenges are. So take some time to create detailed client personas that outline the characteristics of your perfect client. Now, I've got a workbook that you can download for free to help you with this, so I'll include it in the show notes. Now, once you've got your ideal target client and you started to get some data, then you really need to use some analytics to help you identify your potential leads. Here, data is your best friend when it comes to identifying these leads. So that means using tools like Google Analytics, like your website visitors, tools like HubSpot or Adobe Analytics, to gather insights about your target audience behaviors, their preferences, and the interactions they've had with your brand. So for instance, you can track website visitors, you can look at email open rates, you can look at social media engagement to identify prospects who are showing interest in your services. So let me give you some examples of the types of data that you want to be analyzing. First of all, the obvious one is website traffic. So identify which pages on your website are attracting the most visitors and analyze their behavior to understand their interests. Then look at email engagement. So if you're using an email automation tool, then you want to track open rates, click-through rates, response rates to gauge the interest, the subjects that are really resonating with people to identify your ideal potential leads. Then use social media engagement. Monitor your likes, comments, and shares to identify prospects who are engaging with your content and what subjects are really hitting home. Then you want to look at your conversion rates, so analyze conversion rates at different stages of the customer journey to identify potential leads who are moving closer towards that making the purchase decision. Now, as leads come in, please remember that not all leads are created equal. It's essential to qualify leads effectively to ensure that you are focusing your time and resources on those ideal prospects with the highest potential to convert rather than those info gathering time wasters that we've all fallen foul of in the past. Make sure you've set clear criteria for what constitutes an ideal prospect for your agency. This means developing a system or a scorecard for lead qualification that considers factors like budget, timeline, and fit for your agency's expertise. Run any inquiry that comes into your agency against this scorecard before you invest any time with them. One of the most effective ways to identify ideal target prospects is by leveraging your agency's niche expertise. So position yourself as an expert in your specific niche, and you'll naturally attract clients who are looking for exactly what you offer. Remember, consistent outbound marketing to your niche will bring consistent inbound inquiries from your ideal target customer. So this is another one of those slow down to speed up moments. Make sure you've got really good clarity on your niche, because that will help you define your customer persona and your ideal target client. So by following these strategies, you'll be well on your way to identify ideal target prospects who are the perfect fit for your agency. Now, let's dive deeper into another critical aspect of client acquisition, and that is, once you've written the proposal, preventing ghosting. Look, you've put all that hard work into crafting a compelling proposal that you really believe will help the client. So let's make sure it doesn't disappear into the abyss. So here's how. Well, firstly, remember that your proposal is your first impression, so you need to make it count. And this is another reason for making sure you're only writing proposals for the best fit ideal target clients, because you need to put a reasonable amount of work into writing that proposal, giving yourself the best chance of winning it. So tailor each proposal to the specific needs and pain points of the client that you have ascertained in that kind of briefing process, so that you can demonstrate your understanding of their challenges and offer solutions that address them directly. Use engaging visuals, case studies and testimonials to make your proposal stand out, be memorable, demonstrate that you can help this prospect because you've helped other people like them, and make it persuasive. This episode is sponsored by Creative Crew, a community for web designers. Creative Crew exists to help web designers succeed in business. Through industry-leading training, coaching, and focused content on the business of design, they enhance skills, enrich networks, and harness collective wisdom for greater professional success. So go to creativecrewcommunity.com to join. Now, communication is key to preventing ghosting. So from the outset, establish clear communication channels and expectations with the client. Let them know how and when you'll be in touch throughout the proposal process, and encourage open dialogue to address any questions or concerns that they may have. In fact, I want to share with you 2 crucial steps at this point, and these 2 steps or tips, if they're the only things you take away from today, then they'll be super valuable. First of all, I don't think you should send the proposal via email, but rather you should get a date in the diary to present it in a meeting. And secondly, get a date in the diary at that meeting for the follow-up before you leave the meeting, if you see what I mean. So 2 tips here. Present the proposal in person rather than sending it in email. Obviously, they're going to want to get the proposal, so that it's much better that you deliver it and talk it through, rather than just let them read it and perhaps interpret things in a way that you wouldn't want them to. And secondly, get a date in the diary at that meeting for the next follow-up stage or the feedback process, so that you can keep that dialogue going. Now, you might have done all of that. You might have even had a follow-up meeting where they're kind of still being vague to you. So in your follow-up, you need to be persistent, but also obviously don't be pushy or desperate. But I always say to my clients that you need to be a bit of a Rottweiler here, and the only outcome should be yes or no. It can't just kind of sit waiting in that kind of purgatory state. So be determined that if I'm going to spend the time writing a proposal, I'm going to get a yes or a no from my prospect. And if you followed all the steps so far, hopefully it will be a yes. Now, another way to keep engagement going through the proposal process is to provide ongoing value and insights to that prospect. So while you're waiting for a response, you can share relevant industry news, you can share more case studies or success stories that demonstrate your expertise and reinforce the value that you can bring to their business. This not only keeps you top of mind, but it also continues to build credibility and trust. So by implementing these strategies, you can significantly reduce the likelihood of your proposals being ghosted and you can increase your chances of winning that new client. Now let's summarize these key takeaways and actionable tips that we've discussed so far today with 10 tips for identifying ideal prospects and avoiding proposal ghosting. So number one is to define your ideal client persona thoroughly. So take the time to create a detailed client persona that outlines the characteristics of your perfect client, including demographics, pain points, challenges, and goals. Number two is to use data-driven approaches to identify the ideal potential leads. So utilize analytics tools to gather insights about your target audience's behavior, preferences, and interactions with your brand. Thirdly, qualify leads effectively to save your time, resources, and heartache. So develop a system for lead qualification using a scorecard that consider factors like budget, timeline, and fit for your agency's expertise. Fourthly is showcase your niche expertise to attract the right clients in the first place. So position yourself as the expert in your specific niche to naturally attract clients who are looking for exactly what you offer. Number five is to create compelling proposals that address the client's pain points. So tailor each proposal to the specific needs and challenges of a client, demonstrating your understanding and offering solutions that directly address their pain points. And of course, you're going to be able to do this because you are qualifying prospects out as well as qualifying them in, so you can invest more time on those ideal fit prospects and create even better proposals. Number six is to establish clear communication channels and expectations from the start. So number seven is following up promptly and persistently without being pushy. So as I said, agree to present your proposal and then also agree the next communication point to get feedback and be a bit of a Rottweiler so that you will get a yes or a no, but not just left hanging. Number eight is to keep the client engaged through the proposal process by sharing relevant industry news, case studies, or success stories that continue to demonstrate your expertise and reinforce the value that you can bring to their business. Number nine is to include testimonials and case studies from satisfied customers in your proposal to build trust and credibility and increase the likelihood of the client moving forward because they can see that you have helped other people just like them. And number 10 is to be open to feedback and make sure you get feedback, good, bad, and otherwise, and use that to continuously refine your approach based on the results that you are seeing. So learn from both the successes and the failures to improve your client acquisition strategies over time. By incorporating these 10 tips into your client acquisition strategy, you'll be well equipped to identify ideal prospects effectively and minimize the likelihood of your proposals being ghosted. So I hope you found that useful. Before we wrap up, I just want to say thanks for joining me today if you've got to this point. And make sure you check the show notes for the additional resources I mentioned. I'm going to include a guide on niching, also a guide on customer personas, and also information where you can learn more about the Creative Crew community. And of course, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoyed the episode, please share it with your colleagues and consider leaving a review because that helps the algorithm share this episode with more people just like you. But until next Thursday, take care. Have a great week. Keep pushing those boundaries of your marketing agency, and I will see you next Thursday for the next episode of the Agency Accelerator podcast.